I needed rebooting. I needed to wake the up in some areas, and it just meant a lot to me. And now it's a quest to, what do I do with this? How can I write this and make sure it doesn't happen again, or just be better. Be better.
Why does anyone drink alcohol? Why does anybody do it? When you've taken a little bit of time away from it and you look at it in the harsh light of day, the effects that alcohol gives you aren't that enjoyable, and it's been folded into people's lives through tradition and through just anchoring bias and continuation.
Yeah, and marketing.
I'm never going back. I feel stupid for waiting this long. Your body and your brain are inexorably connected. If your body functions better, your brain will function better. It's not rocket science. It's real simple.
Yeah.
And if you drink, you will notice a big dip if you have one cocktail. One cocktail will be a big dip in the amount of recovery you have.
Right.
And you won't even notice it. You'll be like, I wasn't even drunk. Well, most people are just used to feeling like garbage.
Alcohol, to me, never felt good. I never liked it. And it was a recipe for, there was a lot of fights. There was a lot of bad stuff happens when people are drinking. It's poor decision making.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it just feels like there's so many better ways to have a good time.
Stop drinking.
Very difficult?
No, beautiful, unbelievable.
Better.
Oh, you kidding? I would never be sitting here with you. No way, no chance. Because I wouldn't have been able to have access to myself or other people, or even been able to take in other people if I hadn't changed my life. No way. And I never would have been able to have relationships that I do. I never would have been able to take care of my father the way I did when he was sick. So many things.
And very quickly, if you want instant access to a brand new video training that I've just finished showing you how to control alcohol in as little as 48 hours, then click the link in the description. This new method is not about using willpower therapy or AA meetings, it's totally different. I do not publish this video anywhere else online, and it's already changing thousands of lives, so click the link below for instant access. Once you're on the next page, enter your name and email address and your free training will begin. It takes just 7 minutes to watch, but it'll feel like somebody flicks a switch in your brain. And honestly, I'm not sure when I'll start charging for this 7-minute video training. That's how good it is. But whilst it's still available, click the link below, enter your name and email address, and watch that video now.
Alcohol is an extraordinarily pernicious drug. You can be inclined towards it because you're sensitive to its anxiety-reducing properties, or you can be sensitive to it because it enhances social communication, or because it produces a psychomotor high like cocaine, or all of those at once.
When you drink alcohol, it can pass into all the cells and tissues of your body. The impression I got was that many people took it as permission to finally stop drinking or drink less because they didn't enjoy drinking. And as you beautifully put out on social media, drinking is one of the few activities that if you don't partake, people assume or accuse you of having a problem.
Every year, new study comes out there. There's no healthy level of alcohol consumption.
There is no positive physiological benefit whatsoever that comes from drinking, period.
You do stupid things when you're drunk. You hurt yourself. You compromise your health. It's really hard on the people around you. You tend to turn into a liar, and it screws up your life. Alcohol is a really bad drug. 50% of murders take place in an alcohol-fueled environment. Either the victim or the perpetrator or both is drunk. It's almost the sole cause of domestic abuse. It's almost the sole cause of so-called date rape. If you dig into criminal behavior deeply enough, hell, you don't have to dig much at all before you find alcohol. It's also the only drug we know that actually makes people more aggressive, not merely because they don't know what they're doing. We did experiments at McGill showing that if you took drunk people and put them in a competitive environment where they could be aggressive and had them keep track of their aggression so they were actually conscious of it, they became more aggressive even rather than less.
I define addiction as the continued compulsive use of a drug or behavior despite harm to self and or others.
Talk to me about your relationship with alcohol and how it's changed.
I pretty much barely drink anymore. I used to drink numerous times per week, particularly when I was growing up, university, then even throughout my 20s. I was very much into my fitness, but at the same time, there was always at least one extremely heavy blowout at the weekend. And then I think when I was 29, I did the first experiment where I went sober for 6 months. And that taught me a lot because I was put in situations where I would normally drink. And because I was doing this challenge, I wasn't allowed to drink. And I actually realized it wasn't that hard to do, and actually quite liked it.
I haven't drank in 7 years, but even then, it's not like I guess I'm an alcoholic. I don't know when to stop. But every once in a while, it's like, man, we had a good gig. I remember the last night I drank. It's like, yes, man, let's go to the bar, drinks on me. I did Coke that night. I was drinking wine, beer, and liquor. And I woke up the next morning and I had the worst hangover ever. It was like embarrassing. And it was all because I was so drunk the night before, and I was like, I'm never doing this again, and I haven't drank since.
I was out drinking. I didn't care, give up. And it come to a point I was doing that for 18 months of my life. And I thought to myself, this is not me. And no matter how many people told me before this, where I was going wrong, what I was doing, you need to act your life. You can only change your life if you want to change it.
It's interesting. I didn't one day wake up and say, I'm giving up drinking. I just, like many Brits, had a very, very boozy December. And I decided to just give up for January. I just wanted to do dry January. And all I could think about was having a drink. All I could think about. I was waking up thinking about it. I was checking the clock, when's it 12? And it just really scared me. I just was like, wow, maybe I have a little bit of an alcohol thing. So I sort of decided to punish myself and say, I'll do February as well. I'll do 2 months off. If I can do 2 months off, then I can prove to myself that I don't have a problem. 2 months go by and I was still really struggling. I felt like I couldn't be social. I felt like I couldn't go to the pub and have a lime soda. I couldn't go out for dinner. I was really, really struggling. And I started to really worry that maybe I had an alcohol problem. I said to myself, if I can do 6 months without alcohol, then I can prove to myself that I don't have a problem. And by the time I had got to June 1st, I was the happiest I've ever been in my life.
45 years ago today, I had a wake-up call. I was heading for disaster, drinking myself to death. I'm not preachy, but I got a message, a little thought that said, do you want to live or die? And I said, I want to live. And suddenly the relief came and my life has been amazing. And I have my off days and sometimes little bits of doubt and all that, but all in all, I say hang in there. Today is the tomorrow you were so worried about yesterday. You young people, don't give up. Just keep in there. Just keep fighting. Be bold and mighty forces will come to your aid. And that sustained me through my life.
It's like this feeling of, oh my God, this is what I've been searching for my whole life. I'm my truest self, right? Like I'm so much funnier and cooler and people like me. That's all bullshit. Guess what? Not true. I was not myself, not my truest self. But it started with, wow, I can be free and funny and boys will like me. This is when I'm younger, right? And I just like held on to that belief that real Lucy came out when she was drinking. Guess what? Real Lucy did come out, but it was that rage and pain that I had been holding on to for so long. But it also quieted my mind. And I'm not the only person on the planet that deals with this, but like my brain just doesn't shut off. It's exhausting.
Alcohol is this little devil. And let's face it, the devil can offer up some cool things.
Oh yeah,
you know,
devil. That's what the devil does.
The deal with the devil. Yeah, exactly.
The
right.
devil doesn't. Yeah, the devil doesn't offer you up things that look bad. The devil offers you up things that look good. Yeah, you get suckered in.
Exactly right. And the more you justify it, the more the devil's like, yes. You know, you're like, no, but it's not. It's helping me in this creative way. Or it's like, it's not a problem. You know, I do it to have more fun with my friends, build relationships, you know, all this stuff where the devil's in there going, yes, exactly. Like more of that, you know, kind of a thing. But really what the devil is doing, it's finding its way into a bunch of parts of your life. In fact, the more the better. The more parts of your life that the devil can find his way into, the better for him. And then his goal is to just it all up. And the more you justify it, the more he's like, yes, allow me into this part too, you know? It's like, yeah, man, you're stressed right now. I can help you with that. Like, let me help you with your stress, by the way. Put some alcohol on your stress. That'll help, you know?
It'll help for the next hour.
Yeah.
You can't think straight. You forget about the fact that stress is there.
Yeah.
And then you wake up and the stress is born.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there's a period of 4 years where I needed to quit drinking. And the drinking got in the way. And I talk about that a lot in the book. That was one of those obstacles that I had to get over. And I think that, you know, once again, I needed to clear the road in order for these things to happen. So it really is an inside job. And, you know, I had to clean up my act and figure that whole situation
You no longer
out.
drink?
No, it's been over 11 years.
All right, and so is it worth it? Worth it to have
Worth it? Yeah, my life was ruined. I was like homeless and carless and broke and no career. Yeah, so yeah, it's definitely worth it. Yeah.
It had a lot to do with the extent to which I was in the grips of addiction and alcoholism. And I think a component of that is that I somehow felt defective. You know, there was just a discomfort in my own skin. which is a common trait of alcoholism. So I just felt like there was something wrong with me. Things weren't going to work out.
So you're on these films, box office and all of that, and in the back of your mind you're thinking, I don't deserve this success, or it's gonna have like the anvil is waiting to drop on me, literally?
There's some of that.
Really? Was that linked to your childhood? Because I know that there was a history of alcohol abuse with your father.
Right. Not my father, my mother
Your
was,
mother.
My mom's side of the family was so alcoholic, every leaf on the tree. I mean, and like I'm the first member of my mom's side of the family to achieve long-term sobriety.
Wow. And you've been sober now, was it
14 years
14.
Now. Yeah, is that crazy?
The reason I stopped drinking was on that particular day, I had 2 cocktails. As I was having the second cocktail with dinner, I realized I'm only having this to take the edge off because I'm naturally an introvert. I don't necessarily like the whole meet and greet part of speaking events and stuff. And I realized that it does help take the edge off. It does help calm me down, but I pay for it the next day. I'm 49 now. This was last year, so I was 48 years old. And here in my mid to late 40s, even 1 or 2 cocktails, and some of you that are in your 40s and beyond can back me up on this. Man, 1 or 2 cocktails I could feel the next day. I'm a little heavy-headed, I'm a little slower, I'm definitely dehydrated, my workouts that morning suck, and I realized, why am I doing something that's putting me in a state that is undesirable and incongruent with the man that I want to be?
I don't know what's best for you. I'm not going to tell you what to do because you're just going to be then looking to me. Or looking for someone outside of you to tell you what's right. I think you have wisdom and information inside of you, and that's not like a wink wink, you shouldn't drink. I really do think that we have this ability to know what feels good for us and what feels like too much, but we can't access that if it's constantly in this place of like, oh God, I shouldn't even be wanting this, or I shouldn't even have this desire.
I can tell you that in my 20s, 30s, and early 40s, I definitely had a drinking problem. No question. Whether it was the lever I pulled to relieve anxiety, or it was escaping the show that my life had become when we were in financial trouble, or it was just a deep, I think, sadness and feeling lost and disconnected, and how alcohol can make you social and make you fun and make you forget all that stuff, and just sort of that constant cycle of drinking and then regretting that I drank and regretting what I said.
Like when you drink heavily, you just expect to feel like, so when you feel like, you're like, oh yeah, well of course I drank a lot. But when you drink very moderately, it actually showed me how much it affects you. Like I would go out and have 2 glasses of wine with dinner, and not only would I feel 20% worse the next day, I would feel 10% worse the day after that. And that was shocking to me. I was like, whoa, this is actually, it's not about hangovers. It's about just general lack of energy and motivation on a day-to-day basis, and it lasts for multiple days. I hang out with them and they're like, oh, I quit drinking, by the way. And I'm like, what? Me too. Holy, like that's probably happened 3 or 4 times.
I could sleep better, I could handle problems better, things that would go wrong on set that would normally set me off, I could take in my stride. I had such better mental clarity. I felt healthier, I felt fitter. And I just sort of said to myself, like, why am I enslaved to this drink? Why am I so obsessed by the idea of having this drink?
If you need to drink in order to be able to enjoy a night out, you're choosing the wrong nights out. Like what you're saying is that the experience that you're going on is so bad that you have to anesthetize yourself. You have to numb yourself to the experience. It's like saying, I'm going to go and do this push. I'm going to go stick needles through the skin on the back of my hand, but I'll take some painkillers so it doesn't hurt so much.
That's why this is such a difficult problem to solve. The people that I know that have been able to get sober and stay sober are the people that shoulder responsibility for their own sobriety. You can't get sober for somebody else. I'm getting sober for my spouse or my kids, or, I'm getting sober because if I don't, my boss is going to fire me. You might be able to do that for a short period of time, But for the true addict, unless you're doing it for yourself and you're making it your number one priority, chances are you're not going to last over the long haul. And when you love that person, it puts you in a very treacherous position, because if you do create that boundary and that person goes off and something terrible happens, will you feel responsible, or will you feel like you didn't do enough, or if you had just done this or that, that wouldn't have happened? And that's a very real predicament to put yourself in.
People are dying every year in the United States of America from overdoses, and that's probably a small number in comparison to what actually is happening. But hundreds of thousands of people are dying because of alcohol and drug abuse. It's a real epidemic. I feel like if I don't share about the success of coming through that, I'm not doing what I know I have to do, which is be of service.
Mm-hmm. And I think that is very difficult for people who are not addicts or alcoholics or don't really understand the true nature and power of addiction to wrap around their brains, right? Like, just stop. You're going to kill yourself. You've got to cut this out.
But we drank because it was Thursday night, and that's the night that you go out. But you didn't drink outside of that. You know, I think something interesting happens, to your point, when you're celebrating, you're going to celebrate a special occasion. Something interesting happens when you're using alcohol for a special occasion, for your Thursday night with your friends. Then all of a sudden it shifts. It stops being that thing you're using for special occasions. It stops being the thing you do on Thursday nights with your buddies. And then all of a sudden it gets to you finish your long day at work. You're exhausted. What do? You open up that bottle of wine and you have a glass or two, or you have that scotch, or you have that Truly, whatever people are drinking nowadays, and it becomes that kind of the wind down the day kind of thing, which so many people do to separate themselves from from work or whatever happened in that day. And I noticed that for myself as well, especially after my wife and I had kids. I was definitely feeling a higher level of stress and responsibility than I ever had before in my life.
Someone that's doing, let's say, moderate drinking, so they're doing the glass of wine a night, what's that doing to parts of their brain in terms of the structure and the function?
It seems that our threshold for what we call moderate or low amounts of drinking is shifting nowadays. I don't know if that has something to do with the alcohol episode that we did, but here's what I do know. The data say that 0 to 2 drinks per week, you're probably fine, provided you're not an alcoholic and you're of age, okay? And you're not pregnant. 0 to 2 drinks per week. Now, what happens past 2 drinks per week depends on a lot of other contextual factors, okay? First of all, how well or poorly you metabolize alcohol, how much alcohol dehydrogenase you tend to express. Why do I say that? Well, a lot of the so-called negative effects of alcohol are due to disruptions in sleep and gut microbiome. So those are indirect, right? Alcohol is changing for the worse the gut microbiome and sleep patterns. We know this. People that track their sleep, they have one drink and they're like, holy cow, my sleep is so much worse. Not just sleep score, but amount of REM sleep, amount of deep sleep, etc. So then should we set the threshold at 3 drinks per week or 4 drinks per week? I don't know, and I'm not here to say that one way or the other. What I'm saying is, my read of the data is that 0 is better than any.
You want to be doing this for a long period of time, right? So after 5 or 6 years or 10 years, like, what is your relationship to this thing going to be? Mm-hmm. And if it's not sustainable now, where you feel drained at the end of the week rather than energized, then maybe you're a brilliant business person. Look at the model and figure out how you can tweak it so that you can stay in love with the process. And I think for me, it's all about enjoying it for what it is and detaching from all the externalities. Like, if I start looking on Spotify or Apple, where the ranking, all that kind of stuff, like, I know that I'm in a dark place, right? I shouldn't be comparing myself to other people. I should just be present for the experience of having these conversations and trying to deliver value to the people who are taking time out of their day to listen. And that's it. It doesn't have to be any more than that. When I get caught up in that other stuff is when I start to make decisions that begin to become out of alignment with the mission.